So I want to talk about the theism as a virtue, right? And also as a mean. So it's common in the tradition to talk about religion as a virtue, right? And you often get formulations of religion as a virtue in the within the broader virtue of justice. It's a part of justice. It's what we owe to the god or the gods, and it is, in some sense, opposed to two different virtues, which are I'm sorry, to two vices, which are on the extreme. It is the mean between two extremes, which would be, on the one hand, unbelief or atheism, so which would be to fail in our duties to the gods through lack, through deficiency, and on the other end, there's superstition, which would be to be overzealous in our duties to the gods and so to for instance to invent duties to the gods that we don't have, right? And that would be the account of religion as a virtue. Now recently Peter Hubner has suggested that maybe actually the there is a contemporary malady which can be diagnosed as hypotheism, right? So it is a general lack of God or divinity. And it manifests itself not just as atheism, it manifests itself as a general belief that the gods are not present in the world. And so this can be like a melancholic, this has many expressions. So it can be kind of like a melancholic belief that the gods have withdrawn, right? A Gottesnacht, or it can also be an idea that maybe some gods have withdrawn. We have to melancholically be Christians because, after all, it's the only divinity that we have access to. It's the only hegemonic religion, and so we have to be Christians. Unfortunately, the pagan gods have gone and said their goodbyes. Or it can also manifest itself as a kind of fundamentalism, both in a pagan way, but also both in a polytheistic way, but also in a monotheistic way of people who say we have to act like we have to follow exactly the traditions. We have to create here this symbolic system and sustain the presence of the gods. The gods themselves are, they can do nothing or they are too transcendent to do anything. And we have to take on the responsibility of of assuring that their presence is here. And in all these things, there's a kind of unbelief in God's existence because the gods can be admitted as transcendent instances. But there's a lack of belief in the mediation, right? That the gods themselves will will hand themselves over to us through their own mediation, right? And there's also, for instance, a skepticism about the mediations through which we have access to the gods. So, for instance, a skepticism with regard to the mediation of history, a skepticism with regard to the mediation of language and translation, and of course, all the critical thinking that goes into, say, preparing critical texts and critical editions. There's like a skepticism with regard to this mediation. This is all human. There is no mediation which is divine, right? And, so I can phrase this through my own distinction between Titans and gods, right? So I've argued that God describes much better what Neoplatonists and Proclus especially meant by daimon, right? So a god is an agent, or more than an agent, is like an embodiment of an active providence in the world, right? And so to believe in the gods, to believe in Daimon, is to believe that there is this kind of rational ordering of the world, Whereas the theoi, they are titans. They are supremely sovereign selves, each of which is a value, and it is towards these ultimate values that the many kinds of providence, that the many providences, the many gods orient themselves. And I think that what we have here in hypotheism is, in some sense, the Titans are still recognized, but they are recognized precisely in their distance, whereas the daimones are lacking, right? And that makes the as melancholic with the distance of the Titans, or the or it makes us believe that we have to, in some kind of hubris, make ourselves divine, make ourselves gods. We are responsible for divinity in the world. We do not believe that there are daimons effectively um, performing this mediation. And now, if we think about this as a virtue, or rather as a vice, hypotheism as a vice of lack, then there should be also a vice of excess that's opposite to this. And that would be hypertheism, right? So excess of theism and excess belief in daimonis. And what would that mean? That would mean that um, one does recognize the presence of the daimonis, of these agents or embodied forms of providence, but they, as it were, cloud our vision and make the titans disappear. And so all we recognize are the gods. And since a god is ultimately the embodiment of a providence, and a providence is an immutable knowledge, a bit of creative knowledge, there is no self, there is no will, as it were, in this whole system. And then we get the opposite of the person who they also do not create a relationship with the Titans, but not because there is no mediation, but rather because there is only mediation. And then this is, as it were, the caricature of the goess, right? Of the magician who seeks to, as it were, know the spiritual world as a kind of subtle mechanism, and they are left as the single self that pulls the levers and whose will dictate how all these providences will execute what they do. And so, in both cases, a relationship between the mortal and the Titan is um, is abolished, right? Either because there is no recognition of the gods, or because the gods obscure the view of the Titans. And then there's the true middle, which would be the virtuous mean, which is precisely not hypotheism, not hypertheism, but just theism, recognizing the gods as mediators between our mortal existence and that of the Titans, seeing them not as ultimate ends, but rather as subordinate ends. For even if though they are omniscient, even though they are omnipresent, even though they are constantly acting, they are not ultimately the independent and absolute values that ground reality, but they are mediators between us and them. And I think and I think that putting the question this way, putting our relationship with the Titans in terms of virtue and in terms of finding the right mean where the daimonists are recognized as truly mediators and and not as ultimate ends, that is a good way of talking about like what the proper relationship with the Titans is. And it's a move away from the discussion between polytheism and monotheism, right? The question isn't one or many, but rather it is hyper or hypo or just theism, right? Because you can be a monotheist in all, you can be a monotheist who is melancholic or fundamentalist and thinks that you have to sustain your connection to the God all on your own, or you can be a monotheist in the sense that you think that there is a single order of reason and that this implacable rational order is something that you can just know very well and then therefore attune your will to. And so you can be a monotheist in both of these ways. You can be a hypertheistic monotheist or you can be a hypotheistic monotheist. Those are both possible. And however, and in principle, you might even be a properly a theist who's a monotheist. Although then doing that would mean that you acknowledge the distinction between gods and titans, and I think it's definitional practically. Definitional is not the right word, but it is an innate knowledge that we have that titans cannot be pigeonholed into a single unity. And so there are difficulties about talking about a monotheist who has the virtue of theism in this sense. And of course, you can be polytheists in all these three. There are melancholic polytheists. There are polytheists who are goetes, right? Who see the gods as things that are subject to their will. And of course, there are polytheists who have the virtue of theism. And so I think that this formulation of theism as a virtue, which I'm only developing insights that Peter Hubner first put forward. I think that this is a good way for us to think about these things.